For 2026, instead of being a scrolling social media ass boring person, I decided that I wanted to try to at least read 2 books a month. So, welcome to my new series, Traveling Through the Pages, where when I can't get my butt on a plane, I'm going to travel through a book. My goal for every month of 2026 and hopefully going forward is to read at least 2 books for the month. And audiobooks do count in this because your girl is very busy and sometimes she can't get down to sit down and read a book. This series is going to start with my January books, even though it's beginning of February. Don't judge me, but we got our stuff doing. So the 2 books that I read in January were Excuse Me, Your Life is Waiting, which, it's clearly really loved here, and We Were Dreamers by Simu Liu. So, Excuse Me, Your Life is Waiting is a self-help book. Goes into some aspects of the law of attraction. Lynn Grabhorn talks about feeling good in order to get the things that you want, why we feel the way we do, how to break out of that, and different aspects. So, for example, how you feel about money or relationships or about your body. And it is definitely in a way, almost a simplified version of the law of attraction. And she does talk about that. And she goes into her adventures and the things that she's learned, and she gives examples of her network and her friends feeling a certain way and how when they changed how they felt, it got better. So the reason why I read it is although I am a believer of the law of attraction and I believe positive thoughts beget positive things, of course, like any normal person, I do fall into the woe is me, life is terrible, all that stuff. And my friend Mark, shout out to him, suggested that I read the book. And, I bought the book way back in, I think he had suggested to me in May of last year. And I bought it in June and it was sitting on my nightstand for weeks. And he's like, hey, did you read the book yet? And I was like, yeah, no, I didn't. So when I was doing my 2026 planning, he was like, read the book and then do your 2026 planning. So yeah, I was reading it simultaneously as I was planning out my life for the year. So it really came at a certain time, especially at the top of the year, and thinking about the things I want to accomplish this year and keeping those ideas of being grateful and being mindful of things that maybe sometimes where you're like, okay, this sucks, but also keeping a mindset around all the things that are going well in order to get better. So who is this book for? If you are a person who is experiencing a rut in life, if you're big on law of attraction, but you feel like, but you don't feel like you are kind of embodying it. If you're a person that needs kind of a step-by-step on the law of attraction, then Excuse Me, Your Life is Waiting is definitely for you. Because the one that I got, it has a workbook in the back. So you can go through chapter by chapter and it kind of it has a study guide. So it definitely is a must read for that, especially if you're into that. And you need a little bit more focus, especially when it comes, you feel like you're not accomplishing the things that you want to accomplish and you feel like you're in a rut. Definitely is a good book. I would rate this book 7.5 out of 10. I feel like it's a good reading. I really did enjoy the book. It's just that some parts were a little bit redundant. It took me a while to read. So, and I just think it's something that you need to you really need to sit down and focus on the book in order to do it. And I feel like I've lost focus. So it's not really the book's fault that it's a 7.5 out of 10. It's just my fault. Yeah. The next book, We Were Dreamers by Simu Liu. We Were Dreamers is the memoir from Simu Liu, who's, as we know him, as Shang-Chi in Marvel. What's that movie called, Marvels? Shang-Chi and the 10 Rings. That's what it's called. He talked about the story. The book goes through his life, being born and growing up as a child in China, to his journey and his life with his parents in Canada, to growing up and going to college, growing up and becoming how we know him today as an actor. So yeah, the reason why I read this book is because a friend of mine, Adam, shout out to him, is also from Canada, and he had read the book and he said it was awesome. And he's also a child of immigrants who migrated to Canada, and he really resonated with the book, and he's like, oh, it's an awesome book, you should read it. During our lovely snowstorm, I like to listen to things while I shovel. So I was like, oh dude, I've had this book on my to-read list for a while, so let me just put it on and listen as I shovel. And I was just so enthralled by the story. Just because, number one, I am also a child of immigrants. Me and Simu Liu are like the same age. We're literally born in the same year. He's a little bit older than me, kind of thing. He's from China. Because I lived in China, like to hear like the Chinese being spoken and to because I have an understanding of Chinese culture and understanding like why his parents had this point of view in certain things, and like growing up and like the filial piety that Chinese people have. And it's filial piety is more associated with Chinese people, but I think children of immigrants feel this filial piety towards their parents because it's just like, you sacrificed so much for me to come to this country, like I have to get back. And it goes into the struggles of that, like trying to follow your own path but not without disappointing your parents. So that really resonated with me in the stories. There were moments where I was literally crying because you hear the sadness in Simu's voice as he's telling the story. He narrates the story himself, which I think is amazing. And also because I understand as a child of immigrants, like, and expectations of my parents that maybe weren't met in the way that they wanted to be met, but me figuring out my own path, it's a story that I feel like a lot of immigrant kids don't get to feel, so I really resonated with that. Who is the story for? This story, if you are an immigrant kid, if you're a person who is struggling right now, like you're a child of immigrants, you're like, oh, you don't want to disappoint your parents. Maybe you're like, okay, my parents says I have to be a doctor, but you know that's not your calling, and you're trying to figure it out without disappointing them and following your dreams. This story is for you because it's proof that if you follow your own path and you go where your heart desire is leading you, then it will lead to something great for you. For We Were Dreamers, I would rate this book 8.5 out of 10. It was very easy to read. It was super relatable. I love relatable books. Seeing like visual, like when Simu was talking in the story, I could picture it in my own head. Like I love those kind of books. The reason why I'm not giving it like a 10, I'm also trying to be a little bit, be like, oh, it's a 10, it's a 10, it's a 10. There are certain parts where, and maybe this is why the book is good, but it made me uncomfortable where I had to put the book down because it was like too real. And sometimes I don't like to feel uncomfortable when I read stuff. But yeah, it was definitely a good book. The fun part, where do these two books intersect? So for me, I feel that the idea of vehemently being like, okay, this is the thing that I want in my life, and no matter what, like, I'm gonna achieve this thing, and I know I'm gonna get it. I just have to keep going this direction. I feel that the lessons in Your Life is Waiting, Simu Liu definitely did that in his life. Because it's really funny. It's just really interesting. Like, I would say that Excuse Me, Your Life is Waiting is like the textbook of like, here's the lesson on how to do this. And Simu Liu is like the example of how to live it, if that makes sense. Like, even there's certain things in the book where I was like, I kind of read these books simultaneously just because like I could listen to We Were Dreamers while I was driving, or I was doing stuff while I was like showering or doing certain things, and then I would sit down and read Excuse Me, Your Life is Waiting. It's just really interesting because you see how Simu Liu's tenacity and his belief in himself, and realizes like, I'm gonna do these things and I'm gonna hit this break and I'm gonna keep going. It's a lesson in believing in yourself and feeling good about the things that you're doing in order to get the things that you want, which is the whole lesson in Excuse Me, Your Life is Waiting. So what am I reading for February? And I would like to open up to you guys as well. Like, I'm debating if I should do theme. Right now I'm in the middle of one book, which I will reveal later, but I do still need a second book, and I was thinking about maybe, or second or third book. It's a minimum 2 books. I could read more, but I wanted to put it out to you guys. I was thinking about more so for Black History Month, so Black authors, Black stories, historical fiction, feel-good stories about Black people, Black joy, definitely a Black story, but also a romance story, or maybe a combo of both. Let me know your book suggestions in the comments, and I look forward to hearing what you guys say. Thank you so much for listening to this book review, and I will see you in the next video. Peace.